Mm. Hello, hello. So, if you guys could just let me know, as usual, in the chat, if you can see me, if you can hear me, and all of that good stuff. Let me pop this in here. How is everybody on this fine moon day? Good, I hope. Back to here. All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. So I'm a Kendrick. Cindy Cada, good morning. Amanda B, hello. Oliver Twisted, good morning, brother. I will be seeing you later. Christina Pitcher, hello. K feels what it is. Love it. Heidi R, hello. Dagger, hello. Black Moon Lilith Astrology. It's so crazy to me that you tune into my stuff because I absolutely love your work. So it's just kind of, it's a little bit like I feel a bit like a deer in the headlights whenever I see your name pop up. If you haven't seen Black Moon, make sure you check her out. Hello. Okay, good. All right, so you can see and hear me. Grand Rising. Hello. Thank you for being here. All right, so um, bear with me just a second. Make sure I've got my chart ready. Yes. Okay. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. For those of you that don't know, my name is Raphael. I am an astrologer, tarot reader, and numerologist and energy worker. That is my core four. Those are my bag. That's basically what I use to bring you the knowledge and information that I do. I also want to make you aware that whenever I'm using or wherever I'm talking about astrology, I am talking about whole sign tropical Western astrology for those of you that would like to know. And that's how I get my calculations, which you will see. Good morning, Paul. Hello, lovely to have you. Um, I will be seeing you this over the coming week as well. So yeah, lovely to have all of you. And yeah, if you're new to my channel, stick around. We're going to be talking about Moonday Magic. And if you are a current subby, then you know Rafi loves you. All right, so you can see me, you can hear me. Sorry about that. Uh, as many of you know, tech has been super weird for me over the last week or so. Yeah, and this is one of the things that I'll be talking about today. So I mentioned this as part of a part of this as the Moonday Magic post. So for those of you that don't know, whenever we have a Monday or a Moon Day, I put out a YouTube community post. So it's kind of like it's almost like a YouTube Instagram post, if you like. And I talk about what's going on there. It's like a condensed version and I spell out the tarot cards that sort of speak to the moon's signature, so to speak. So, Aquarius Diva. Hello. Why is this not working? Come on now. So obviously we're here to talk about the moon, and whenever we're talking about our fair lunar, we are talking about our needs. We're talking about what we need to feel nourished, what we need to feel fulfilled on a bodily level. The moon in astrology actually represents both the mind and the emotions for sure, obviously, because it's an emotional being, because it's a watery being. But also, whenever we're talking about the moon, we're also talking about the body, and there's a reason for this, right? So in astrology, the sun will represent the attention, the soul, and the soul drive or desire. Whereas the moon represents the mind and the body. And there's a reason for this because the mind, just like the thoughts, fluctuates, right? Just as lunar waxes and wanes, we go through the same processes. The moon and human experience and existence are deeply enmeshed within each other. Just like when you think about the body, how it waxes and wanes, right? We're born, we're nice and young and strong and healthy and all the rest of it. And then, as we get older, we get a little bit doughy. Right, and then we start to wane, right? So when you think about the process of human life, when you think about the processes of the body, when you think about the processes of thought and emotion, right? When you think about your thoughts, it's like a spark of a thought, and then you have it and it develops and it sort of gets fleshed out and becomes this bigger thing, and then it wanes as your attention goes on to something else. The mind and the body are they are changeable, just like the moon, right? And when you think about it, it kind of tracks because the sun is a constant. It's either there or it's not there. Whereas Luna is full of mystery. She waxes and wanes, and we go from that very first sliver of a crescent, and then it grows to four, and then it wanes right down to the last sliver of a crescent. It's a really interesting and incredible thing to behold, And what's really funny to me is I remember hearing this on a show once, years ago now, and it really stuck with me. And that was just because, like, we know all about the moon, right? Exactly. I'm a bear, and we're coming into winter, so this is my hibernation body. Right, and when we think about the moon, we know about this through science and all the rest of it. But the line in the show said, just because you know how something works doesn't make it any less of a miracle. And that really, really stuck with me. And so, yes, we've got all of this science to explain the lunar cycle, but it's still pretty incredible to me, that we have this close celestial body who is effectively our celestial mother. And as I always say, Luna's primary concern within our lives or our experience is that we are well fed, that we're well nourished. And so wherever the moon goes, we will feel a driving need to really experience and lean into that sort of aspect of our lives. So as we start this week, Luna is in the sign of Virgo, the dutiful sign of Virgo. And so let me pull up the chart. For some reason, this doesn't seem to be working. Come on, work with me here. All right, can you see the chart? Heidi says, I am 60, trying not to be doughy. Lots of work. Yeah. Okay, great. You can see the chart. Fantastic. So, as we can see, we start the week here, October 28th of 2024, with the moon. The moon, here she is, at 22 degrees of Virgo. So you might have noticed yesterday and today that you're feeling more dutiful, that you are getting around to your tasks, that you're working on the things that need to be worked on, right? Moon in Virgo is great for getting things done. It's one of the reasons that I love this transit so much. Now, it is applying to, even though this is a waning moon, it is applying to a grand Earth trine with Pluto and Uranus, right? So as she moves closer and closer to these degrees, we're going to experience a grand Earth trine. This will be the last grand Earth trine that we ever have with the Moon and Pluto, right? Because after, I mean, on the 20th of November, so it might not be the very last actually, because we've got the full moon to come. But on the 20th of November, Pluto will move back into the sign of Aquarius, and that's it. Then it's kind of in for the next 19 and a half slash 20 years. Now, an Earth trine is really wonderful for setting something into motion that you want to sort of have weight or to last, something that you want to sort of stand the test of time. Now, that being said, on the opposite side of this, we have Mercury at 22, we've got Mars at 27, and we've got Neptune at 27. So this is also um, uh, applying to, sorry, Mercury is applying to a grand water trine. So this is setting up two trines in the sky, one of them a water trine, and this is all about our emotional world and experience, and one of them an earth trine. And this is all about our practical and our material experience. Now, what's really interesting to me personally is today I've had very Piscean slash, so for me in my personal chart, my thoughts this morning. So every morning I go out for a walk to organize my thoughts, think about what I'm going to do with my day, what's going to be important as a topic of discussion, all of that kind of stuff. So this is a practice that I've had now for, ooh, I want to say the last 2 to 3 years, but in terms of real consistency, it's only been the last 6 months. Um, like when I say like consistency, I mean before I used to do it like at least 3 to 4 a week, whereas now I do them basically every single day, bar Sunday. Sunday is my day of rest. I'm very old school like that. Here in the UK, I don't know if anybody remembers this. I mean, I know some of you in the UK will remember this, but Wednesday, so Sunday used to be a day where nobody would work, and Wednesday was a half day. So like literally we would get to like I think it was like 12:30, 1 o'clock, maybe 1:30 at the absolute latest, and then all the shops, etc. on Wednesday would shut down. And I remember when both of those went away and the amount of hoo-ha there was over this whole thing. It was like a whole like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Like it's just, do you know what I mean? Like it was a whole thing. Anyway, so coming back to these two trines, you've got a grand earth trine, you've got a grand water trine. So yes, it's setting up a Star of David, but I'm not looking at it in terms of that because it's got too many other stuff attached to it. So let's look at this in terms of the elemental principle. Earth is about the practical and the tangible experience. It's also about our physical health and vitality. Water is about our internal, emotional, and maybe even our mental stability as well. Now, when you connect these two elements, what happens to Earth when it's given water? Right? We get growth. And so, even though this is all happening under a waning lunar, what's really interesting to me is that the energy in the air is really tending towards and pushing towards us releasing something on an internal level so that we can actually take steps forward in our practical experience, right? So, on a practical level, and the reason I find this so interesting, forgive me, the reason I find this so interesting is because today, this morning, when I went out on my walk, all I could seem to have on my mind were Saturnian slash eighth house topics. Now, obviously, Saturn is not a part of this grand trine, but the house or the should I say the sign of Pisces is lit up and activating that water trine because of the Neptunian element. I just find it really interesting that this is the stuff that really was taking up a lot of my mental thoughts and focus today. So I'm intrigued to hear from you guys, whatever the time is, wherever you are at this moment in time. What's going on in the Pisces or the Saturnian space of your chart at this moment in time? So think about the house placement that Pisces occupies and ask yourself, what is it at the moment that you've been really thinking of or going over? Now, obviously, over the last however many hours of today, the moon will have moved through the opposition with Saturn in Pisces. So maybe that's a part of it. The other part of this as well, sorry, I thought that was the door then. Right, the other part of this is in terms of this, I mean, you could call it a double grand water, a double grand trine, right? So yes, it's setting up a Star of David configuration, but again, as I say, I don't like to use that because there's too many things attached to it. Now, what I'm talking about in terms of the elemental, and when we think about this as well, both these water and earth trines are feminine energies, right? So when you think about this, this is an overwhelming amount of feminine energy at this moment in time, which I actually think is needed to quash a lot of the stuff that's happening on the wider world stage. And when we're thinking about, two trines, when we're talking about one that's facing downward, that's the downward facing, and when we've got the upward, we've got the upward facing. What this is talking about is both a balancing of the elemental energies, but also a balancing of the inner and outer, and also a balancing of the masculine and feminine energies. So this is something to really pay attention to at this moment in time. Now, on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, we have the moon in connection to Mercury. Moon and Mercury are very good friends, right? Moon and Mercury do really get on very well. They love each other's energy. Um, what's really interesting to me about this is it's a sextile, right? So a sextile is an opportunity. This is effectively an invitation. So this is an invitation to have a conversation. It's an invitation to have a conversation about something in our worlds on a practical level that needs to be shifted or changed. Because the moon is in a trine to Pluto, this is about an understanding of something that really does need to be released on a practical level. And this may even be on a physical health and vitality level. Let me explain. One of my wonderful subbies, and I can't remember who, suggested a book to me called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's basically an account of how our physical, tangible being literally stores everything that happens to us, the good and the bad, and especially like our traumatic experiences, etc. When I took my Vipassana retreat, the guru that teaches the whole sort of course, it's 10 days silent meditation, no phone, no TV, no internet, when I say like it's hardcore, like it strips you down. There's no sugar. There's literally like it's all vegan food. You eat twice a week, twice a week, twice a day. There's no like dinner basically. Like it's just a really interesting experience, right? Now, anyway, in that, the guy that was teaching the course said that when we have hard or difficult experiences or things that we're not able to process in our lives, we effectively tie a knot in our soul. And the 10-day meditation retreat is basically teaching you how to unpick those knots. This moon in Virgo, which speaks to the physical health and vitality and the body, it's not just your routines, it speaks to your literal self and your literal health, is in a trine to Pluto. That's a purgative energy, right? Something about the structure of the day-to-day experience of our lives needs to be released here. Uranus in Taurus, something about our bodily Taurus nervous system, Uranus, needs to be released here, right? And the fact that we've got this grand Earth trine really means that this very moment actually that we're having this conversation, there's a chance for you to release something, but it can't just be on a mental or an emotional level. It has to be on a physical level. It has to be something that really it has to be like a physical release as well as an emotional or a mental one, right? So this is really effectively what you're being invited to do today is to take some practical or tangible action that literally speaks to closure on a mental or an emotional level as well. Am I making sense here, or have I just gone completely off the deep end? Hi, Catherine. Lovely to have you. I usually start at like 12 o'clock. It's between 12 and 12:15 on a Monday, and Tuesday and Wednesday, and Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Um, Now the grand water trine, Mercury, Mars, and Neptune, this in itself, yes, it's a conversation, potentially one that brings angry tears. There's that Mars at the end sense, the end sense at the end part of Cancer, which I know everybody just like me is so over at this point. Um, but you might be over it. It's not done. So, just enjoy the process of having it be what it is for now. In a trine to Neptune, Mars Neptune is the spiritual warrior. But with Mercury in Scorpio, this gives us a chance to open up the dialogue, to talk about what we need to talk about. Mars is also an energy of severing. So, on an internal level, if we open up the dialogue on an emotional level, we're able to transcend a difficult experience and we seal that transcendence from that difficult experience with a physical, tangible action so that we're able to truly move beyond it. There's a chance for closure in the air right now. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm not talking about like, oh, that was done and it was a difficult experience and I'm laying it to rest. This is a chance for true sort of closure. This is a chance to really let something go. What that looks like for you, only you will know what feels right. But as I say, it can't just be a conversation. It can't just be an internal acknowledgement. It needs to be, yes. Do you know what? That's so funny because I say one of my alarm clocks went off this morning at like 5 to 4. And I was like, what the hell? Like, no, no, this can't be right. And then I was like, yeah, it's the clock. So yes, thank you for that, Heidi, for reminding us. Um, but yes, this chance for closure is here, but it's the physical action that you take that's going to seal this in, right? And that's the way that I'm seeing this. We've also got Moon in a sextile to Mercury and Neptune in a sextile to Uranus. So we've got a mystic rectangle in the air, right? This is, and funnily enough, the mystic rectangle is also water and earth, just like the double grand trine is water and earth. So there's a chance for deep soul nourishment here by truly allowing us to cleanse ourselves, to release or to remove something from our lives that allows us to finally just to remind myself not to swear, but just to bloody move on, right? Whatever that might look like for you. Now, as we come into Tuesday, the moon is going to move through. She'll move. Luna will move into Libra. She'll move through that conjunction with the South Node, so further cementing. Right, Moon in Libra is somewhat cooler. It's more detached, but it's also a great time to make a decision from a point of need. And because it passes through that conjunction with the South Node, whatever decision you make on Tuesday, it will have a finality about it. It's a decision that's made on a really deep sort of level with the moon, right? Because what you need is closure. This is a waning moon that's coming into and passing through its balsamic phase. It's passing over that south node, opposing that north node, right? And what this kind of really says to me is like there's a chance for us to say, okay, you know what? That's done. And I make a decision here and now to have something different, something better, something more aligned for my future. And I know that whatever it is that I have to pay in order to have that, it will be worth the price. Only you can decide what that actually is or what it's going to look like, though, right? So As we come into Wednesday, the moon is going to be around, well, it's going to pass through 15 degrees of Libra. At this point, she's going to start to apply to, let's see what I've written here. Yeah, she's going to start to apply to the trine to Jupiter. So Moon, Jupiter, Moon and Jupiter are also very good friends. They love each other a lot. Um, and then it's going to start to, and obviously at this point we'll have a nice sextile to Venus. So this is going to be a somewhat happier moon because it's nicely supported by the benefics. It will be coming through that opposition to Chiron, though. And so, again, whatever decisions you're making over Tuesday and Wednesday, you will see that they have like a clear sort of line of sight of this is how I move forward. There will, however, be maybe a personal, I don't want to say wound because it doesn't feel like that, but maybe a personal history of some sort that kind of comes up to poke us and say, hang on a sec, you can't just gloss over this. Have you actually released it? Or are you just playing the game of I'm moving forward? And this is why I say I urge you to do this work today, right? To really be honest with yourselves and to make some steps forward to releasing something that needs to be released. As we come into Thursday, All Hallows, Samhain, Halloween, whatever you call it, wherever you are in the world. Luna at 27 will be in a T square with Pluto and Mars. Now, whenever you get a T square configuration, this one, Mars Pluto in the background, has been ramping up the intensity over and over, right? But whenever you get a T square, so Moon and then Mars opposing Pluto, it's the planet that plays the anchor or the bucket handle, if you like, that is the way out. So your needs, the moon, in the sign of Libra. So what you need, Libra, remember, is a cardinal air sign. So this is, forward thinking thought, where I go from here, ideas around fairness, justice, balance, what is right, who decides what is right as well. This is, remember as well, Libra is a masculine sign, right? So this is a different energy than what we've had up until previously. Now, this moon here is the way out. And one of the things that one of the things we've been told, especially by Frank, he says you've got to feed your moon. So when you think about the Libran space of your chart on Thursday, feed that moon whatever is in that space of your chart. So as an example, if you are a Capricorn rising, Thursday, while the moon is in your 10th house at 20, well, passing through 27 and the end of the sign of Libra, feed the moon, right? Give it something to do, give it something to feel good about while it's moving through your career house. Do something that is personally going to bring balance, do something that's going to bring balance to your life by doing something that is personally fulfilling for you in that 10th house space. Hopefully that makes sense. As we come into Friday, bam, we have the new moon in Scorpio. This new moon is at 9 degrees. I personally am loving this new moon. I really am. At the same time of this new moon, Mercury, 28 degrees of Scorpio, Neptune, 27 of Pisces, Mars at 29 of Cancer. That Mars at the 29th degree of Cancer, trust me, it's not going to go quietly. All right, but it is nicely supported with Mercury, which means this isn't just total front lobe anger. There will be a chance to open up the dialogue on something that's really pissing you off at that moment in time. Neptune there, you'll have an out, you'll have a way to really transcend this. You've got this wonderful, emotionally supportive energy in the background, even if Mars is getting a little bit loud, right? but you've got this new moon, which is really nicely supported by that Saturn. Now, it is a retrograde Saturn and it is Saturn in Pisces, but it's stabilizing that new moon. I personally love this. I mean, the work that we did in the Lacuna, so for those of you that haven't signed up to the Lunar Lacuna already, what are you doing? And we talked about this moon. We did a lot of energy and work around it. I think this is probably, well, it's one of the nicest new moons of this year, to be fair, because there's a lot of nice stuff happening in the background as well. So just really interesting stuff, to be fair. Now, yes. This new moon is ruled by a Mars at 29 degrees of Cancer, but look at what's happening with that Mars. It's nicely supported in a grand water trine, so I'll take it. All right, now, that being said, remember Mercury is in a technically in an opposite. I mean, it's a 3-degree orb, so we'll still count it, but it is in an opposition, right, with Uranus. So yes, it might have an unpredictable factor to it. Well, certainly the dialogues that we have might have an unpredictable factor, but I don't know. I just feel like this Mars, because it's nicely supported by Mercury and Neptune, it's not like all here, right? It's not just complete hard-headedness. As we move into Saturday, it's starting to obviously pull away. Moon comes into, which will pass through the conjunction to Mercury. And then, bam, as we come into Sunday, Moon and Mercury both move into Sag, which is going to be a decidedly nicer energy as well. And then, just to pop it in, on the 4th of November, finally, Mars will come into Leo. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to be a pretty interesting week. I do feel like today is a really important day, even though there's no sort of, well, there are special transits going on because there's those two grand trines in the air. But even though nobody's flagged this as a particularly important day, I feel like internally, for our lifescape to really experience some sort of shift and change, I think today is actually a very important day. And I think today is a very important day for closure. And I will say this might be the time to really find it, right? To be honest with yourself about what you want to release, to do it in here and in here, and then take a physical action that literally seals that whole thing in. And I think for myself, I know what this looks like now that I'm saying all of this, and we're exploring it like this. So, oh, no, not that one. Where are you? Is it this? Okay, you'll have to bear with me. How odd. Okay, well, you take this and this and this. All right, so I would like to invite you to take a breath with me. Take a deep breath, bring yourself into the present moment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So, for our destiny card for the week ahead, on this moon day, with its magic, I would like to pull. When someone's ready, if you could just tell me when to stop, that would be great. And I will continue to shuffle. Okay, and the cards have spoken. The card that jumped out was the Death card. So endings, completions, culminations. This is so funny to me. One, because it's a balsamic moon. Two, because of everything that I talked about. And three, because this is a card of closure. Whatever else the death card can or cannot represent, or whatever the case might be, The death card is a true ending, it's a true completion, it's a true culmination, but it's also a true letting go, right? It's the closing or the ending of a chapter. It doesn't always mean literal death, as you know. For those of you that have studied tarot with me as well, you know that there are very specific conditions for that being the case. But yeah, the death card, endings, completions, culminations, balsamic moon. It makes total sense to me, right? The other thing with this, remember, this card shows up to tell us if you let this thing, partnership, collaboration, interaction, relationship, job, internal state of being, mental focus, if you let this go, you avoid the tower. And so this is the invite this week. This card is the destiny card. This is the death card saying, if you do, and this isn't about, I have to listen to what Raf says. It's not about that at all. I've given you my reasons as to why I think today is a really important moment of closure. You can take that on board or you can not take it on board. It's completely up to you. I only ever deliver these things to try to help people and to give you a perspective as to how things may unfold. And really and truthfully, that's all I can do. You have to action it, right? I can give you the best numbers, the best stars. I can pick the most amazing election for you. And yet, if you do nothing with it, you'll get nothing from it. All right, that's just the way that it works. What I am interpreting in terms of the sky and the energies and the tarot cards is today is a really powerful moment of clearing and closure. And if we're ready, willing, and able to take the action steps, it can bring us a sense of freedom that we've never experienced before, right? And truthfully speaking, I very rarely see this card as scary. Usually it's a chance to let something go and not have it follow you home. Yeah. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. Let's have a look. How do we best utilize that death card? When you're ready, please say when or stop or para if you are the chorus guarded. uh, all right. Thank you very much. We've got the Three of Cups. One of the best ways to do this week is to buddy up, right? Is to connect with your people, not to just be bogged down in your own space and time about it all, but actually to connect. This, connect with your ancestors. Connect with the people that are no longer here, but are still with you every step of the walking that you're taking throughout this lifetime. We also have the Queen of Wands, and we've got the Chariot card. Oh, Nana, there you are. Yes, I hear you loud and clear. For those of you that don't know, my nan was a Leo, and there she is, to me anyway. On a personal level, I'm like, that's about as clear as you could get it, right? Reconnect with your Leo ancestor, right? Just to show you how sometimes this can be. Now, truthfully speaking, with the Queen of Wands, this is about remembering not only the joy and the pleasure of life, but remembering how art and music and creativity and the sensual pleasures of life are so important, even in Scorpio season. And then on top of that, we've got the Chariot card. So what this tells me is death card or no death card, waning moon or no waning moon. This is a profoundly very positive week. And there are some really wonderful things that can come out of it that will be truly life affirming. What it's going to require is for us to access our personal power and conquer a version of ourselves that stops us getting ahead. What is it that you need to release? Now, what's really interesting is when I was looking at the days of the week, Thursday in particular when that T square starts to form in the sky, that's going to be All Hallows, Halloween, Samhain, whichever you celebrate or don't, as the case might be. And I know obviously on the 1st of November, which is the day of the Scorpio new moon, we've got La Dia de los Muertos in for the Latin community, right? For the Latinx community. So whatever it is that you do or don't celebrate, the message here is, and because I pulled up a quote for this because it really spoke to me really deeply, and that was, you have to do whatever you can't not do. All right, that's a quote from a film called Cloud Atlas with Halle Berry. If you haven't seen this film, the film Cloud Atlas, it's got Halle Berry, Tom Cruise, just some really phenomenal actors. If you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal film, right? And it will, trust me, it will hit you, but especially on that Thursday, right? On the 31st and the 1st, and maybe even seeding that today, right? As we've got these two grand trines in the air, do what you know you can't not do, all right? Just get it done. So for our our insight cards, sorry, let's have a look. Yeah. Right, so we've got a jumping card. We've got the Hierophant, or so the High Priest in this deck. Okay, so that's the wider world establishment. We've got the Two of Pentacles. I'm picking straight from the top because the cards have already spoken when I dropped one. And we've got the Ace of Cups. Again, even with this death card, all profound and profoundly, light and decent and good energies. So the message behind this is, if like, so the insight cards are kind of like if we could see around corners. The structures, the routines, and the rituals of your life now need to be balanced with what you truly want at a heart-based level. This is the same as saying it can't just be all work and no play. It can't always just be nose to the grindstone. It has to be pleasure as well, right? And one of the things that you tend to learn, like when you speak to people that have had like NDEs, people that have had loved ones pass away recently, they say, I know I should be sort of miserable and mourning and doing all the rest of it, but actually it's made me want to live my life even more. That's what these cards are really saying to me, right? That's what really sort of speaks volumes here. Another way that you could look at this is on a practical and a material level. Over the course of the week ahead, you're going to feel and see a lightening of the way things unfold for you. Now, that Ace of Cups is a wish fulfilled, but it shows up with the Two of Pentacles and the Hierophant card, which means this week there's a chance that you're hearing some really good news from a figure or a figure or a person that you either really look up to or somebody that you consider an authority. So in some way, shape, or form, it's like authority figures, places, spaces, and people are shining on you in some way. So I kind of love this. I mean, look, and really, this is the way through. Let go of what you need to do today, seal it in with a practical application, dine with your ancestors, and remember to love, create, listen to music, dance, do all of those things, and make way for the things that you desire to come through by doing what needs to be done when it comes to creating more balance and harmony. The other thing is as well, one of the ancient sort of messages of the Two of Pentacles as well was around communication that we're not sure about. And so that last triplet, what this really says to me is when you are given some kind of praise, insight, support, when somebody comes to you and says, look, I'd really like you to do this, don't look a gift horse in the mouth by starting to question whether you're good enough for it or not. Just accept it. Authority figures don't drop things in your lap if they don't believe in you. So now it's time for you to buck up and believe in you as well. All right? It's going to be an interesting week. I feel. I'm really looking forward to that Scorpio new moon. I've got a couple of things planned for it. So yeah, I can't wait to see what comes through and what happens and what evolves. With that said, if you like the way that I do astrology and you want to get a personal and you want to get a personal session with me, you can do so on the link in the description box below. If you want to sign up for the Lunar CUNA, you can do that on the link in the description box below. With that said, for all of you, those of you that are here right now, thank you so much for spending time with me on your Monday. I appreciate you so much. For those of you that are watching this after the fact, again, thank you so much for checking in. I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.